Good morning, evening, afternoon. I am Tatocat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Echoes, a Lucid9 fan game. Previously, we learned that Rui Hayata is no longer Little Miss Sunshine, and she drinks rum instead of coffee in the morning. And she works she's like a medical student of some sort in a psych ward. And we ran into Kisao, who is the victim from the first game, the boy who got beaten to death almost. And now I guess he's recognized us. And Rui's supposed to be dead, so we'll see how that goes.
I could just have you mistaken for someone else, but I doubt it.
I feel like Rui Hayata isn't necessarily a super common name, but I could be wrong.
You have far too much in common with her.
With the other Rui Hayata? Now
So
what?
we do know each other.
Mm-hmm. No. Not liking this look, sir. Well then. Is there going to be a fight? Because since I know there is like some sort of fighting element, I keep expecting me to have to suddenly jump into some sort of fight. Looks like he recognizes me. I cross my arms, studying my breath and forging my expression into a cold stare. In response, my so-called patient, at a distance of 9 feet, fixed his unblinking gaze upon me with an even greater degree of focus. As my mind spins up, that's interesting wording, I subconsciously try to watch the gelid, unreflective intensity of his eyes with an equal force of intent. Basically, we're just having a staring contest right now. Wonderful. Unlike most civilians, this only seems to amuse him further. If he's trying to intimidate me, he's going to have to put in way more effort than this. However, if his goal is simply to unnerve me, I'm impressed. It is very unnerving. Again, I keep feeling like I'm just gonna have to... I wonder what the fighting thing is like. I hope it tells me how to fight, because if not, I'm just gonna hope either it's with the mouse. I mean, it could be with the keyboard, but you never know. Were this the time and place for it, I might even be willing to give him a few pointers on body language. For all I know, he could very well be the same person as that first year who made it through the incident 3 years ago. But just as easily, he could be working undercover with WFCOP. What is WFCOP? Or worse. Oh no, worse than WFCOP. If that were the case, we'd be on equal footing after all. Rui a ninja now? In the interest of self-preservation, I can't discount the possibility that he's already been tenured. And yet, even with that in mind, out of everything he could have done, out of everything he should have done, he had to do this now. That's a time. I forced a trapped bubble of air down my throat. He really wants to do this. Yeah, I'm just getting ready, you know. Fisticuffs.
You're,
Yeah. Was there any important information there? Nope, it looks like complete gibberish. Also, ouch. This looks painful. Is this what happened to her? I don't remember exactly where she was shot, but I think there was some blood in her mouth in the photo in the original game, so I assumed that maybe there was a lung shot or a gut shot or heart shot, something like that. Oh, these things like this always mess with my eyes. Okay, let's see if I can read this. There. I think this is there. Alright, that is an E. Yep, this is definitely a T and an H. And I think this is an R. There is. This is definitely is. No. Oh, this one's hard. This looks like an I. Is it an I? It doesn't make any sense if it's an I. To kill. Yeah, it looks like an I. I got, there is no something to kill. Ooh, I'm almost right. I mean, I knew this word wasn't something, but there's no self to kill. I mean, I guess if you already died once. No dots? There they are. Oh. Less than a second after my slip of the tongue, my mind is overcome by an avalanche of near photographic memories. Memories of splintered bones and blocked nerves. Memories of exit wounds formed from conical torrents of liquid flesh sludge. Liquid flesh sludge sounds so unpleasant. Memories, I guess it's supposed to. Memories of a state of existence to which any alternative is preferable. Death, of course, being the least insidious among them. Perhaps even a kindness. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. I take a fairly unfriendly reminder, one to speak with a greater degree of care the next time I open my big stupid mouth.
You were a student at the IIBA, correct? My condolences.
No condolences required, Doctor. Reactive deep brain stimulation works on its own just fine. I trust you're familiar with it.
Barely. It's not as common as it could be.
It sounds like somebody massaged your brain.
Yes, for all its effectiveness, it seems to have the same notorious allure as trepanning.
Your chart mentioned it. I hope it's been working for you.
Brain massages?
That it has.
Good for you.
Well, of course, excluding the insomnia. But as time goes by, I've oddly found myself needing less in terms of sleep.
Yeah, that happens. But, is that why you turn slightly evil occasionally? Because your brain gets massaged?
However, Learning to live with less is a part of living in and of itself. Or is it a part of dying?
It could be both.
The two concepts seem so mutually inclusive that I wouldn't be surprised if they were interchangeable. Would you be, Dr. Hayata?
Not this shit again. It's not even 8 in the morning yet. I barely have enough energy to confront my own existential dread, let alone answer a bunch of crackpot questions about the nature of life. I really need to stop this kid. Kid? Aren't you the same age? Oh, okay, maybe she's a year older. She wasn't a first year. Yeah, she was. No, yes, no. Yes. They're about the same age. Why is she calling him a kid? I guess what she's been through. But he's been through a lot. So yeah. Why, Rui?
All I can tell you is that you might have a pacemaker in your head.
Is that what the brain massage is?
If I were you, I'd be worrying less about the metaphysics and more about making sure it doesn't randomly turn off.
The young man smiles once more. His amused demeanor returning in mere seconds. Also the light came back, so that's nice. However, I can't shake the feeling that this time he seems more knowing.
Ah, a direct approach. I wish I had the ability to see things in the way that you do.
It takes practice, but if you want to be more objective, all it takes is a good enough justification for a consistent work ethic.
Fair point. I might just test that out myself someday. I was beginning to think something happened to you, though. You went from being the only survivor of a mass murder to a footnote in mere days.
Oh? Oh? It wasn't published? Like, I would think that that was a big deal. Oh, they must have covered it up. She did die with there was that group, that mystery group that we never found out about in Lucid9, wasn't there?
At least that's how the news treated you. One might think that they were hiding something.
Suspicious. I crossed my arms inadvertently, letting out a gruff chuckle.
One might think that you're trying to implicate your physician.
Well, how else did you survive? By begging for your life hard enough?
No, she didn't survive. Not really.
You sure that neurostimulator is working? Sounds like you're on the verge of going off on a rant about chemtrails or something.
Trust me, I have it examined regularly.
And how regularly is that?
So what are we giving him a checkup on? Because this is a psych ward, isn't it? But they were talking a lot about heart stuff. But I figure he's studying that rather than her.
Regularly enough.
She's just doing her psych rotation.
Anyway, as entertaining as this conversation has been, it would seem that this so-called medical consultation has all but reached a stalemate. If there's nothing else...
I'm your psychiatrist, not your mom. Leave whenever you want.
In that case, it looks like my work here is done.
Oh! Work? Does that mean he was there to mess with her after all?
One more thing, however.
Uh-oh. What do you mean one more thing, however?
Shoot.
Not literally, don't shoot.
When you next see Kosuke, do give him my regards.
Oh, you know, Mr. Mad Scientist Man Dude?
It's been a while since my last experimental treatment.
Great, he really is a mad scientist. Wonderful.
I'll tell him you said hi.
Wonderful.
Before I have the opportunity to process anything, the door swings open behind me. The door clicked shut. I turned my head. I almost said back. That doesn't make any sense, so. And just like that, I'm alone again. I can already tell today is going to be a weird one. Da 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 da. The remainder of my workday, though strenuous at best, passes by without incident. Ooh, a sunset! Well, type of background thing that's happening. That's cool. When I return to the ward hallway, it's almost entirely devoid of any human presence. The clumps of idly chattering denizens endemic to this place most other hours of the day are long gone, probably tossing back beer after beer while they belch their lungs out to 4-chord audio-friendly pop rock songs in their favorite karaoke parlor. As a patient of mine, a rather chipper young man from District 6 once put it, they're probably, every time I see like District 6 talk, it reminds me of like almost like Scottish stuff, cause like they say you can. Been shacking good cooler down in the juke house. I'm very bad at saying it. Now there's some rosy cheeked chuckling involved, maybe some reminiscing about their high school days that hopefully weren't plagued by horrifying tragedy, or maybe a heat of the moment thigh grab that leads to a one-night stand. A one-night mistake in the nearest love hotel. Or, more likely, a surprise visit from human resources. If it's particularly bad case, the board might even deploy someone like me to perform a corporate cleanup operation. It's a good idea on paper, but more often than not, victims are terminated as quickly as their abusers in order to sanitize the corporation's public image. As a result, most of these cases go unreported. Oh, that's a bit fucked up. However, thanks to the efforts of thousands of division personnel, they don't need to be. More often than not, however, it's little more than a harmless pub crawl that stays on the up and up. How did we get from high school reminiscings to there? Just salarymen being salarymen. It's, like we did when they're thinking about high school. One night mistakes. Oh, okay, so I was thinking that the one night stand thing was a part of the high school reminiscing. Okay, it makes sense now. Going forward. Just salarymen being salarymen, doing that thing where they wear ties around their head. All the while, gratitude is being expressed. Gratitude that their circle of bumbling co-workers has the privilege of serving the last morally defensible corporation in Isamu. Ma, who's kidding? Their lives probably suck even more than mine does. The sound of cloth squeaking against metal draws my attention to two figures across the hall, each clad in white coveralls and brandishing an electric spray gun. I definitely have it easier than the building's janitorial staff. They've been making their rounds more frequently these days, as well as in full gear. As concerned as I'd like to be, it's probably just a result of the corporate labor unions screaming at each other in order to decide whose rights and safety are more important. On one hand, you've got the doctors and nurses who don't want to get the sniffles from a non-sterile surface. On the other hand, though, you've got the people responsible for keeping those surfaces sterile, who don't want to get throat cancer from breathing in a metric fuck ton of fumes every day. Right? Because, you know, that just sounds so much fun. Isn't there a better way to sanitize things without the throat cancer thing? Sure, it's an absolute gong show. Never heard that phrase. And sure, way forward's never been the morally upstanding and principled corporation it advertises itself as, but at least its executives know that a workforce full of strikebreakers and the obviously doomed is bad for getting the little guy to work as if his contribution to the world is actually means something. Speaking on a personal level, not having to stalk or blackmail union reps like a limny bootlicker makes my job way easier. Oh yeah, suck it, limny skate. Whoa, this one's way down. So like if this sentence was any longer, it would have been covered up by this part. My other job, that is. Oh, what is your other job? Dot dot dot. Many within these gleaming halls produce false hopes in abundance. Antithetical, yet somehow not oblivious to the overwhelming burden that reality would normally have them shoulder. They call it having a positive outlook. I'd call it having a goddamn superpower. I can't even think about how lucky I am without thinking about how shitty my relatively good fortune makes this world look in comparison. Seneca, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Either the elder or the younger, I forget which one it was, once bragged about asking for broader shoulders instead of a lighter burden. As unimaginative as most Stoic philosophy can be, he does have a point. I might even say that he has more of a point than he did 2,000 years ago. Burdens have been getting heavier and heavier since then. After all, how else can you explain why a rise in productivity doesn't shorten the average workday? It's just a shame that this corporation pays an overwhelming amount of attention to purely physical burdens. Maybe this ward wouldn't be as understaffed and underfunded if the people in charge cared a little more about mental health. Yeah, mental health stuff does get kind of looked down on a bit more because people can't see it as much. I mean, you can see some people with mental illnesses, like the effect it has on their bodies, but more people are going to react to seeing an actual wound of some sort. But that's unlikely to happen in society where asking for help is seen as a sign of weakness. True that. Well, what was that? A sudden pain shoots through my lower back mid-stride, causing me to trip on the freshly waxed floors and inevitably toppled over. Did she somehow pull a muscle? Oh, not the papers. I managed to catch my clipboard at the last minute before it gets banged up in the impact, with the exception of a few papers. Guess it's never a hard day's work without a few fuck-ups. Looking on the bright side, well, it's more of a less dark side at this point. It's not like this is an unmanageable margin of error. On a better day, if such a thing were even possible in the city, that might have been the first place my mind went to. But instead, as I clutched the smarting pulp of my right hand. Oh, what did she do to her hand? Did she land on it funny? Having taken the full 75 kilograms worth of force my misstep generated. Oh, that is the worst. Was there a choice? No, just a shadow. All I can think about is how alone I am. Normally my mind would jump straight to a mild shade of anger. But right now, the only thing that's on it is how unidentifiably, pervasively, and acutely alone I really am. And at the very least, I certainly fucking feel that way. Though it's not as if recognizing the difference is going to do me any good at this point. As I crouch down to pick up the disordered papers scattered around me, I find myself glancing around at my surroundings through clenched teeth. And for some reason, whenever you have falls like that, after a weird day, that's what you do. You just look around and you're like, yep, this is my life. As usual, I have no idea why I'm looking around or what I could even accomplish by doing so. After all, this hallway has been the same since day one. For a second, I might have been looking for someone to lend a hand, but every self-respecting citizen of Isamu knows that they're only here because they clean up after their own messes. To some degree. Even the rich kids with their free rides and luxury cars have to get their hands dirty eventually, attend to their duties, whatever the hell they might be. Well, we'll see how Rui recovers from this. Seems like she's having a hard day. In the next episode.